winner of the New Jersey Press Association's Most Innovative Award.
Welcome back to Greater Media Broadcast News. I'm Susie Shea, bringing you the top headlines in Central New Jersey. Here's what's going on in your neighborhood. A debate heats up regarding a natural gas port. A proposed county park faces funding woes. South Amboy opens its eyes to entrepreneurship. A hockey program teaches life lessons. And the Uganda trip aims to save lives. While the federal government grapples with the proposed Keystone XL pipeline, New Jersey residents are staging a battle of their own over a natural gas port that would be built off the coast of Long Branch. Hundreds attended a public hearing last week on the Port Ambrose Deepwater Port, which would be built 25 miles offshore. While Liberty Natural Gas says the port and its accompanying pipeline would safely deliver natural gas to growing markets in the metropolitan area, many of those at the hearing said the project would have detrimental impacts on the environment, economy, and the viability of the Atlantic Ocean. Despite concerns that the terminal would pose a risk to New Jersey's beaches and tourism industry, a new study released by federal agencies suggests that adverse effects to marine life and air quality would be minor. These conflicting viewpoints are at the heart of the issue, but members of the public will be able to give their input until March 16th. And in other environmental news, here's Adam Ujalko with the latest attempts to revitalize open space holdings in New Jersey.
4 wetlands restoration projects intended to eradicate invasive plant species and strengthen the surrounding habitats were outlined last week at a public hearing at the Middlesex County Administration Building. The projects would focus on 4 sites in Helmetta, Woodbridge, Monroe, and Old Bridge, pending the approval of the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. The sites in Helmetta, Woodbridge, and Old Bridge have been overrun by Phragmites, also known as the common reed, which is choking out native plant species and destabilizing the food chain for animals in the surrounding area. In Monroe, reed canary grass is the invasive species that threatens the wetlands. According to Mark Gallagher of the ecological restoration firm Princeton Hydro, canary grass provides a tougher challenge than the Phragmites. Once the invasive species are addressed with herbicidal treatments, native species would be planted and then monitored for the following 5 years to ensure the restoration projects were a success. For more on the proposed wetlands restoration projects, see the full story in the East Brunswick Sentinel or the Suburban newspaper.
A Woodbridge hockey program is proving that life lessons can be learned on the ice. Here's Taylor Lear.
A unique ice hockey program in central New Jersey is being credited for turning young people into warriors. The Woodbridge Warriors special hockey team has since 2007 been teaching young kids with special needs the basics of skating and playing hockey. But its lessons go well beyond the ice rink. The players gain valuable life skills from socialization to lessons about winning and losing. The program accepts kids who want to play regardless of their age, ability, or town of residence. The only requirement, according to the coach, is that they smile. For more on this story, see this week's edition of Greater Media Newspapers.
And here are the headlines you need to know. Like many towns in New Jersey and beyond, South Amboy has been trying to invigorate its business district. Well, they've got a success story that started in one resident's basement. Brian Mazzaros founded OpenEye, a global firm that specializes in digital marketing strategy, when he was just 23 years old. 13 years later, the firm's client list includes heavy hitters such as Nordstrom, the Smithsonian, and most recently, Madame Tussauds. The clock is ticking for a proposed county park project. Less than 1 month remains for funding to be committed before the Aberdeen project will collapse. Officials say if funding doesn't come through, more than 200 homes may be built in the 88-acre space. Milltown may soon shed its affiliation with the troubled Helmetta Regional Animal Shelter and team up with Woodbridge. The Borough Council will vote on whether to enter into an agreement with Woodbridge for animal control and shelter services. Money is being collected for the $38 million reconstruction of a church that was destroyed in the September 11 attacks. A church in Holmdel is collecting funds to secure the future of the St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox Church in Lower Manhattan. To see how you can contribute, see a Greater Media newspaper today. And here's Mike Pavlichko of Greater Media's WCTC with an update on Rutgers basketball. After that, we have Tim Morris with more on local sports.
Well, how about those Scarlet Knights picked to have a rough inaugural Big Ten season? RU has just picked off one of the nation's top basketball teams, albeit without their star player. Back on Sunday night, the Rutgers men's basketball team pulled off its biggest upset ever, knocking off number 4 Wisconsin at the rack 67-62. They were down 12 at the half, but stunned the Badgers, who are a pretty good team still, even though they were without their best player, Frank Kaminsky, the preseason player of the year. Make no mistake about it, that's a huge win and still a very good Wisconsin team. And it was historical. Before Sunday, the highest-ranked team they'd knocked off was West Virginia when the Mountaineers ranked number 6 in 1982. So what does this say about Rutgers? Well, first, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It doesn't mean Rutgers is going to win the Big Ten tournament in year one. What it does mean is that while interest in basketball has been somewhat lukewarm over the last few years, a lingering effect of the Mike Rice scandal and just a lack of winning in general going back to Fred Hill, there can indeed be excitement in Piscataway again. A win like that can bring up the attendance numbers. It also means the RAC can still rock. Everyone talks about how the RAC is small compared to other Big Ten gyms, have double the capacity. Well, it looks like it served its purpose back on Sunday night. Shades of the Florida game a couple of years ago, UConn in the Big East days, and many other big upsets have prompted Jim Calhoun, the one-time coach of the Huskies, to call the RAC one of the toughest places to play in the country. Now that is the RAC I know. I'm Mike Pavlichko on 1450 WCTC and WCTCAM.com.
Swimming is an often overlooked sport during the winter months. You'd be hard-pressed to find more dedicated athletes. Some have to get up at 4 or 5 a.m. in the middle of the winter for early morning practices. Because of the lack of facilities, teams have to take pool time when it's available at local clubs such as the YMCA of Western Monmouth County and Freehold Township, and that can mean an early wake-up call. Freehold Township High School's girls, who call the Western Y their home pool, have been thriving. Swimmers from Freehold Township and Middletown North were making waves as they warmed up for their dual meet, which began with the 200 medley relay showcasing the Patriots' talented quartet that is qualified already for the NJSIA Meet of Champions. Ariana Nguyen started it off with the backstroke. When she touched the wall, it was time for Molly Griswold to dive in and do the breaststroke. By the end of her leg, Freehold Township was well on the way to victory. The butterfly was the next event, and that was done by Stacy Volkov, diving in here. This one-sided victory by the Patriots relay team set the tone for the meet. The Pats would roll to a victory to continue their season undefeated in dual meets and clinch a second consecutive A North Division championship. Swimming the anchor was Shannon McDade. She would get to do the freestyle. As she motors home, the relay team is off to another victory. This is Tim Morris for Greater Media Newspapers.
When you hear the word rook, you might think about the chess piece or the bird species. But if you're a caffeine addict, you might be thinking about an enterprise that is taking over New Jersey one cup at a time. Here's Jeremy Grossman.
Coffee lovers rejoice. Rook Coffee, the coffee company that has taken Monmouth County by storm, recently celebrated its grand opening at its newest location in Red Bank. For its devoted customers, Rook Coffee is more than just a place to buy a cup of joe. It's an entire culture. When you come inside, you can just feel the atmosphere, said Red Bank resident Matt Erickson. The employees and all the customers are really passionate about it. Rook co-founder Sean Kingsley was in attendance at the grand opening and said he hopes the company's newest store in Red Bank will only continue the success that Rook has had year after year. However, he did acknowledge the issue that the Red Bank store is located directly next to a Starbucks. I think there's a big market for Rook and a big market for Starbucks in Red Bank, Kingsley said. This just gives people a little bit more of a choice, and I think we're both going to flourish. Ultimately, Kingsley believes that Rook is just going to bring more coffee drinkers to Red Bank. To learn more about the grand opening of Rook and other businesses that recently opened in Red Bank, visit gmnews.com.
Medical professionals are being sought for a trip all the way in Uganda. Here's Kayla Marsh with more details.
Local nonprofit Sylvia's Children is seeking medical professionals to assist in an upcoming trip to Uganda, Africa. Sylvia Allen, founder and president, said that the plan is to open the Hines Family Clinic, a 6,000 square foot medical clinic that the nonprofit funded and organized and constructed to the villagers. Allen said that access to health care is limited in this part of Uganda, and the clinic acts as a way for villagers, parents, and children to get the help that they need. The trip will take place March 12th to 24th and will cost $3,500 per professional. The cost will cover airfare from Newark to Uganda, all transportation while in Uganda, lodging, meals, and a 3-day safari. For more information on Sylvia's Children and the work that they do, check out this week's independent newspaper.
For more in-depth coverage and additional stories, see your Greater Media newspaper today. Keep up with us at facebook.com/Greater Media Broadcast News or on Twitter at GMedia News. I'm Susie Shia. See you next time.